Internet! It is I, your favorite podcast producer of literary works at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays.
4:30 a.m.
Alright, so now that we are officially back to reading trash, it's time for me to go turn on some trash. If you need me, I'll be playing Mass
2019, be
Effect
back on the
Andromeda.
crack.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go watch some Game of Thrones.
No,
Ooh.
no. I have some standards.
There is a difference between trash and Game of Thrones. There is one.
You're right. I would actually watch trash.
John R. R. Martin said.
I mean, he
there
was
is
Reconquest NG, so yeah, he did watch trash.
So
I watched
actually got a
an
story.
episode of it and said, "Good lord, this." No, I'm sorry. I watched 2 episodes and was like, "Good God, this is never gonna go anywhere," and I left.
I actually got a story.
Didn't Max see the whole thing?
Yes,
I'm not gonna
Max
I watched
did.
the entire thing.
Guys,
I watched the
guys.
entire thing at like 50% extra speed, and it still did not go by fast enough.
guys.
Yeah, what do you have?
Game of
Sneaky?
Thrones is a Santa Barbara on crack fantasy and George R. R. Martin's addition to Dix.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, do you know that George R. R. Martin is working at FromSoft to create an RPG?
I wouldn't be surprised. So, anyway,
my
Actually,
God.
is.
No, yeah, there was just news of that today that
Yeah.
FromSoft and George R. R. Martin are working together on a Norse mythology game.
Can somebody get me a link to that? Because I want to read that.
anyway,
Guys, this
so,
will be just
But
a awesome
just
fantasy.
take it with
I'm muted.
a grain of salt, though.
I
This
mean,
will
I'm
be
sure.
just-
now that they've all been muted. So today we are going to be covering a rant that I'm doing on a fic that I read while I was away, and yeah. Yes, a 9-hour rant. Yes, it is.
I mean,
Ranting
you
for
aren't
9
wrong, but I
hours
was hoping
is-
we could kind of ease people back into it.
No, we're going right into it. And then we're follow that up with actually a fic we had covered a couple months ago now at this point. The Witch and the Hound, the Fate-Staying Night, Familiar of Zero crossover, where Luis summons Chuchelane.
Yes, I read a couple chapters of that, actually.
Was it good?
I've read worse.
Right. Alright,
Like,
so...
I'm not going to say it was great, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I've seen worse.
So, anyway. Of
Yes.
course, I am required to mention, as per the Twitch guidelines, that you should not at any point in time contact the authors featured in this fanfictional podcast, as that would be considered harassment as per their guidelines. Reminder, the guidelines are the guidelines. I'm required to remind you of them.
Remember, there's just guidelines, not rules.
No, we can't make you follow them, but we can
Yeah.
heavily suggest that you adhere to them.
It's a very good idea.
So anyway, this is called Effects and Side Effects. This is a Harry Potter story that's going to make you all want to stab yourselves in the throat just to get away from it.
Well, you
So-
already said Harry Potter, so I'm already
Yeah, same.
Mm,
less than thrilled.
I'm already dissociating.
This is the summary. Voldemort didn't like what happened at the Department of Mysteries and viewed the connection as a liability he could no longer afford. The steps he took changed Harry's life forever and set him on a path to victory. Female
no.
Harry harem.
Oh god, look
why
at
is it
the
trans?
favorites and follows.
Yeah, I know. It's a very high favorite, followed, and reviewed story. It's got 500,000 words nearly. And so I
It's
looked
been
at this
going
and I
on-
said...
It went from 2008 to 2015.
Yeah. So I looked at this and I said, okay, how bad can it really be? It's got a somewhat good summary, except for that last little bit, female Harry multi. It's actually a decent summary, surprisingly, right?
Mhm.
So I was like, okay,
Just quick,
you know,
gets to the point.
I'll give it a shot, right? Holy shit!
Well,
So, the
Tell
story
us how you
isn't
really
actually bad. Look, don't get me wrong. This is not a bad story. I give it like a 5 out of 10 at best. Because it goes fucking nowhere. I got to around
yes.
chapter 25, and nothing had changed except the list of Harry's powers.
so it's like that one really popular Naruto story which literally goes nowhere.
Yeah. So, the story starts off with Draco Malfoy carrying an experimental potion knocking Harry out and shoving the potion down his mouth to destroy the Horcrux in Harry's mind by connecting him and Voldemort together, allowing Voldemort to extract that piece of soul from Harry. Now,
Okay,
of course,
that's a reasonable way to start. Like,
Right.
Voldemort goes, I don't like this, I want it gone, so I'm gonna undo one of them. I've got
Right.
another 7.
right, exactly. So,
Like, he's actually thought this through. This makes sense.
yeah. So I was like, okay, and then it changes to like this mental scape view where Harry's this ball of white and Voldemort's this cover of black, and he's kind of fighting against Voldemort. And, he does the whole hero thing of where he's losing, and then he surges forward and, fights back Voldemort, and Voldemort suffers a backlash, and Harry's now shining brightly again, and he's no longer stifled by Voldemort, and gets a little power up from that. So it's like, okay, fine, yeah. And then, later on, the author explains that, Harry's magic is so strong, he uses Tor because Fanon. But Harry's magic is so strong because it's basically like a muscle, and he's been fighting against Voldemort ever since he was a baby. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I'll accept that, right? But so this potion's unexpected side effect is that it turns Harry female, completely female, except for his brain, for some reason, is not female.
Okay, so wait, are you saying that every part of him, except he still thinks of himself as a guy? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, one of those dumb things.
And
So it's like the opposite of like gender reassignment.
Yes.
There's dysphoria, but after change.
Yes.
Dysphoria.
Yeah. So, and Harry's now in the hospital. He's like, holy shit, I got boobs. What the hell's going on? And then Susan Bones.
To be fair, that's a fairly reasonable question when you wake up.
Again, like I said, this is why it's a 5 out of 10 and not like a 1 out of 10. Because it's like, followable, but it just goes nowhere.
Sneaky, there is a fic where Harry gets a harem, and the culmination of fucking 40 chapters is Harry banging Hermione while several girls of his harem masturbating all around him.
Yeah.
So this is what you're reading right now is a mild version.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
And this wasn't even the first step of the fic.
So
I'm glad I completely skipped this fandom.
Yeah, it really, there's very few good stories in this section. But anyway, so the story then continues with Harry waking up in the infirmary, and so something everyone should know about this story is that every last bit of dialogue, imagine 2 robots talking to each other, that is the dialogue in this story.
dialogue.
Are you good? Yes, I am good. Thank you for asking. I find that caring. Yes, I like to be caring. That is the dialogue in this story.
Bioware dialogue, Sneaky, Bioware.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, so, for some reason, Susan Bones, Hannah whatever her face, Tracy Davis, Daphne Greengrass, Ginny Weasley, which I can kind of understand, and then Hermione, all come into the infirmary and are like, hello, Harry, we are people, and we are here now to visit you. And Harry's like, well, thank you, people, for the visiting of me. I have boobs now. And they're like, yes, Harry, you have boobs now.
Okay.
You think I'm joking about this dialogue, but I'm not.
Like, here's the thing, right? I know how much you exaggerate, so, like, on one hand, I'm like, he's probably full of shit, but I've read a lot of stuff where I'm like, he might not be.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps the podcast going. We never know if he's lying or not.
Like, we can easily check by reading, but...
Like, so, here's a bit of dialogue.
But the problem is, it's just not that you have to be like, wait, hold on, did they actually write that?
Here's a bit of dialogue between
right
Flitwick and Sprout, okay? His energy levels are low, but his core seems to be huge. The only injuries appear to be some bruising around his ribs. Flitwick commented to Sprout. Her. Pardon? Her. I agree that this is Harry Potter. The eye scar and hair confirm this. But he is now a she, Professor Sprout explained.
Just casually dropping that bomb, eh?
I see.
I see. This is going to cause some problems. We better get him or her to Madame Pomfrey.
What? I didn't want to look at it.
You
because
thought I was
thought-
joking.
No,
You
no.
thought I was This is the
Can you
dialogue.
please read the next dialogue?
This does not change at all throughout the entire story. This is the dialogue.
Sneaky, can you read the next dialogue?
So Draco, still tied up but no longer paralyzed with the spell having worn off, started laughing again. So Potter is now a girl. Serves the loser right. Or is it Potette now?
Contempt?
I don't.
Just Jesus Christ. So anyway.
Because when your gender changes, your surname changes. It's like your first name
Don't
changes.
you know that's how that
Yeah.
works.
Of course.
But anyway, so
Legalties.
these girls oh yeah, and Luna's there because reasons and stuff, right?
Of course.
So these girls all show up, and they're like, "Oh, Harry, we believe you about Voldemort, and we want to help you fight him, but you have to tell us stuff." And he's like, "I can't tell you stuff. It is forbidden stuff." And then Susan's like, "Oh, wait, we can all just swear magical vows to Harry." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And so they all swear magical vows to Harry, and then next chapter it gets revealed that those vows are actually marriage vows, and now he has 8 wives.
Of course.
How does it even work?
Whoops! Accidentally signed a marriage contract. Should have read the fine print.
Is this a Naruto CRA fic?
Well, it's about to be because it gets a whole bunch of titles. So anyway,
Wait, Sneaky. How many titles? Is it bad? Is it as bad as that one
only
fan
5.
fiction that looked like
No,
like a page from the Bible's genealogy?
No, it's only like 5.
Okay.
Hi, little birdie. So what happens
Hey, birdie.
next is I don't honestly even remember. It's very bland shit. So basically, the entire story between the highs and lows of pain is just really bland shit. Of Harry is sad, and he's gonna do sad things like cry in a corner for a while because he's sad. Why is he sad? Oh, he's sad because reasons. What are the reasons? You don't need to know the reasons. Harry's just sad.
I mean, a perfectly reasonable one would be my dick's gone.
Except that's never actually a reason.
No, I know. I'm saying, that's a perfectly reasonable one.
Yeah, except he's like, oh no, I'm a girl now. But the rest of it's like, oh no, I have to wear a dress. I'm gonna cry now. It's like, why the fuck are you sad? Apologize to Scotland!
Immediately.
Apologize to Scotland.
But anyway, so all the other thing you have to know about this story is all 8 girls have the exact same personality, except Luna says silly things.
I would say,
course.
and I assume that personality is the personality of thirst.
No, the personality they all have is super happy and helpful and kind and caring and totally in love with Harry.
Why didn't he just choose one chick then? Just give her that personality. It would still be boring as fuck to read, but at least we don't have to read everything 8 times around.
So the author actually later on justifies this by saying that Harry is still forming his personality, which is why he's sad all
Is
the
this
time.
a Sekiro fic?
He's still forming his personality. So by having all 8 girls, his personality comes out full instead of just molding to the one girl. And that way, Harry is super strong.
Hans, get the Ruga.
Basically.
Not how that works.
Story. I'm gonna now tell you guys events out of order because I really don't care to remember them in order. So at some point, Harry is getting training from the Aurors. Yeah, those things.
Boy.
And so, he outfights them.
Shooty evil boys.
He outfights the special magical police.
I mean, didn't he kind of, wasn't he kind of, pretty much as good as them in the book by the end of it?
Yeah, but this isn't
I was just
by
saying,
the
that
end
has
of the
more
book.
to do with them being absolute trash.
This is
than anything
only
else.
halfway through the series. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
I think there was like this entire thing where they were literally fucking inept.
yeah. So anyway, Harry goes down to Gringotts, right? And he's like, I want to go sell my basilisk corpse. And the goblins are like, oh man, dude, we love basilisk corpse. We'll pay you 6 billion gold for the meat from this basilisk. And Harry is just like, alright, awesome. I'm gonna donate 1 million gold to the Ministry for Police Support. I'm gonna donate another 1 million gold to buy wards for everyone's houses. And they're like, wow, Harry, that's a lot of political capital you can use to change the wizarding world for the better. And he's like, yes, that is my plan, to use this political capital to change the world for the better.
Basically bribe everyone.
And then the goblins go, oh my god, you killed a basilisk at 12 years old? You're so amazing. Here, we bestow upon you the title of Goblin Warrior.
So what? He plays a red aggro deck now?
Yes.
Indeed.
And they're like, oh wow, you're so goblin friends now, you're amazing, and you have lots of money and stuff. Just awesome, Harry. And then Malfoy comes into the room, which apparently, Harry is alone with his bank manager for his family.
Thanks, Max.
And Malfoy shows up, and he's like, ha, Harry, I'm going to kill you now after I admit that I changed your gender to female, forcing you to be ineligible to get all of the family heads. And then the goblins are like, ha, by admitting that you have forcibly changed him to be female to prevent him from getting family heads, then you are now officially disavowed from all your families, and he gains all your titles. Also, you're dead. And then they kill him. And now Harry is the head of the families for Potter, Black, Malfoy, Lestrange, and some other families and crap.
I think I would have given the author points if it had instead gone as, just the guy who just looks like, did you really just admit that in public?
Yep.
I see.
The middle of the bank.
Yep. Anyway, so not even the middle of the bank. Like he's in a private room with his head fund manager.
He just comes in and admits
Yeah, he just
that.
enters in. He's like, "Ha! I have done this to you."
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like fucking what?
Well, I would love for the dialogue to just and raise an eyebrow. Did you really just admit it in front of me?
Is anyone else seeing Max Robotize?
You're a robot too.
Oh
Everybody's a
no.
robot.
Everyone's a robot except for the,
Nope, it's fixed now.
Yep.
Yeah, it just got fixed. My voice is back to normal.
Why the fuck are you sad? What?
Someone clipped you screaming that, Sneaky.
you sad? That's a great... to Scotland. That is great, thank you. That's amazing.
I'm glad we have C8 for clipping stuff.
He's just getting progressively better at getting the best moments.
He is.
Oh hell yeah.
Anyway, so
That's
they continues, now that Harry has this bunch of gold, and he's like, so, by the way, this all happens in like the span of a week, too.
Oh,
I see.
Yeah.
Of course
wait.
it
So
does.
403,000 words cover a week.
No, the 500,000 words cover a total of a month and a half.
Is he writing every hour in excruciating detail?
Oh, yes! Actually, he is.
Oh no. It's worse than I thought it would be. And I have very, very, very little expectations.
Also, this is just something I've always wanted to be angry about. If you're going to do a story where X character magically becomes opposite gender, please consult with someone of that gender if you're not them. Whatever gender you're switching them from, talk to that gender about what might happen, because you don't know.
Remember that this podcast advocates trans rights.
How's the best way to phrase this? It is hilarious watching a girl try and write how she thinks guy relationship works, but it's just like,
Well, it's equally funny watching guys try to be like, so they just like yell at each other in the bathroom or fight or whatever.
Okay,
like,
but they do though.
Okay, yeah, but like by the same extent, it's like, oh, guys just sit around and beat their chests, metaphorically speaking.
Oh, but we do, though.
Right, but that's not all of it, is my point, Sneaky.
Well, yeah, no, but you are correct on that angle. I've never seen that. Like, I see so many stories where I know the author is female, and all the guys are written like they're sexually interested in each other. And it's just like, is this how you think relationships work with guys?
Well, because here's the problem, Sneaky. For some girls, that's just apparently always a thing.
Yeah, I'm aware of that's apparently how some girls just view the world. But,
remember this. Yeah. If he punch real hard, he will have my baby.
And we're done here.
Shonen.
I'm pretty sure, you know what, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure Jack Racken could figure out a way to punch so hard a nearby female has his baby. As a Brazilian, I have this special ability of being able to take anything out of context for my entertainment. No, I think that's just called having a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which is, a very rare trait. But anyway, so, continuing this trash heap. So, remember how I said Harry just gets a larger and larger list of powers basically every single day?
Yeah.
Right, so the goblins are so impressed by Harry killing this basilisk, they're like, oh man, we're gonna assign you the Grand Master of Goblin Fighting to be your tutor, so you can be even better with swords. So that happens. Now Harry's amazing with swords. Also, the other thing is that Harry's a natural at literally everything. Literally everything. Like, does a single sword maneuver, mastered it.
Sneaky, just a question. Why do you think the Sword of Gryffindor actually exists?
Because someone wanted to have a joke at some point. Say, hey baby, do you want to see my sword? And he just pulls it out of his pants zipper.
Either that or just to give Neville Longbottom his badass scene.
Indeed. So anyway, it continues. Harry's jogging one day. Why is Harry jogging? Because Harry was sad. Now he has to go jogging.
It's a sad jogging.
So Harry's now jogging with boobs. And he's like, wow, jogging really hurts my boobs. I wish I was joking about this dialogue. And he's jogging in Britain, and he jogs past a bunch of kids.
I would say, so I will say this, like, the girls I know that do have excessively large boobs
apparently
are like,
also,
yes.
yeah, Harry's also a G-cup.
I see. Nice so just you actually need surgery. You need help.
Yes. Actually, it's more like double D or whatever it's called. The author made to explicitly mention several times they are the biggest boobs among all 9 girls, and they're really, really big, and can be pillows.
Okay, well, clearly the author doesn't realize that it doesn't matter the size. Any pair of them can be pillows.
But anyway, so back to my point. So Harry's jogging down this road. And for some reason, there's like 20 kids just outside practicing Aikido. And Harry walks up to this open yard that has no
this
fences
random
or anything.
Open Aikido tournament.
Yeah. No, not tournament. Just a Aikido class. Just on this yard. Out in the open. And he goes, hey, what's this? And
in the middle of 19 what? 70?
1997?
Yeah, sorry, the middle of 1997 in Britain?
Yeah. Aikido. And she's like, hey, what's this? And some girl's like, oh, this is Aikido. You should do it. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. And then, how do I do it? You do it like this. And then she does the things, and they're like, wow, you're a natural. And she does a little bit more. And it turns out Harry's an airbender.
Indeed.
Not even kidding.
Okay, then.
I want you to be wrong, but I know you're not.
I'm not kidding. By doing Aikido, she is now an airbender, but only when she's doing Aikido.
What is this? Why is
What?
Yes. She can only
That is a
airbend
good
by doing
idea.
Aikido. So it gets better. So, some more stuff happens. Harry gets revealed to be able to make tornadoes because he's sad. Oh yeah, right. So he built an entire house attached to Hermione's house. Because we can just magic that away, right? And then inside this expanded space, Atin's gonna cringe because he does D&D, he puts another expanded space.
Ah, no! Now you've killed everyone!
I knew it was gonna happen the second I said that.
What happens if I put a bag of holding in my bag of holding? You tear a hole in space, moron!
Yeah.
So, inside this, like, house-sized space expansion that's been spelled to be not noticed, he puts a 5x5 mile room containing every form of weather and terrain as a training space.
I see.
Yes. And it only cost him $200,000.
No! No!
Yes. And then he was talking with the goblin that was building it, and he's like, Goblin, can you make it bigger? And the goblin's like, what do you mean, can I make it bigger? He's like, I want a bigger one at my real home later on. And the goblin's like, oh wow, you're so amazing, Harry. Definitely will make a bigger one for you.
Wow.
And, so let's see, he's an airbender, he's getting trained by the goblin. Oh, right, so Hermione's grandfather is a special forces operative. And they call him
Hoorah!
down to
Support
give
the-
him
support
SAS training.
Hoorah! Support the troops.
Let's see,
And God
what
bless
else
America.
happens. Oh, right, and then at another point in time, this is actually where I stopped reading the story. So, finally, what happens is that one of the blank-faced girls, who I don't remember the name of because they're all the same, was like, I shall acquire the potions to give us all animangus forms. And so then they get the potion, and they drink the potion, and each girl has their own animangus form, and then Harry is having this big trippy dream, where a unicorn comes up to him, right? And it's like, get on my back, Harry. And so Harry gets on the unicorn's back. And as he's riding through this savannah, he sees every single girl's animangus form. And then...
Oh, see, here I was waiting for a Witcher 3 joke.
And then, before him stands his male self. It's his true animangus form.
What? Author, you cannot have your cake and eat it too.
And then, behind his male self, stands Lily Potter's animangus form, which is a Belgian white leopard. And his father's animangus form, and Cyrus's animangus form. And then behind them comes a European dragon, which is his true final form.
So his final form is a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Also, he can access all of his girls' animangus forms too, and the unicorn, and his parents' forms.
But why?
Not sure. He never actually uses any of them besides the unicorn a couple times to make some sex jokes.
I see.
And then, he randomly, arbitrarily also adds in the fact that the male form has a time limit before he turns back into a female.
And let me guess, if he uses Viagra, it gets extended?
I don't know. I wouldn't know. And yeah, that's actually where I stopped reading it, because I was just like, Jesus Christ. It had, because, again, this takes place in the span of a month. So when I stopped reading it, it was at a month. And that was around chapter 27 of 35. So, it's quite a large chunk of words for just a single month, and so obviously it didn't feel like it was going anywhere. Even though Harry went outside every day and did a bunch of shit and got a bunch of power-ups every single fucking chapter, it didn't feel like it was going anywhere, because it literally wasn't. Nothing was happening. It was just every single chapter was Harry gets more power-ups, and that's it. Like, there was no conflicts. The author believed that the only conflict he needed for the story, for the first 300,000 words, was the fact that Harry has boobs now. That should have been resolved by Arc 1. Like, nothing against, IRL, but having your overarching conflict for your entire story be Harry has boobs now? Not a good plan. Not a good plan. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot the final thing is Hermione rapes him.
What?
That's where I draw the line.
Hold on.
Yeah. So Harry was really sad.
Without getting creepy about it, I am gonna need more. Yeah. We are gonna need more information.
Harry was really sad one night, so Hermione sneaks into his room, prevents him from turning on the lights, restrains him, and then they do the lesbian thing. And Harry's saying, no, please stop, no, don't. And Hermione continues, and then shoves her hand that's been up their vaginas into his mouth and says, lick it.
Ugh.
Hello, my name is Chris Hansen. Can you please sit in this chair? Take a seat.
Would you like a cookie?
And then she just knocks him out and leaves.
What?
And it's just like... What?
Jesus, and I thought players who had access to modify memory did some creepy stuff.
And like every other character is viewing this scenario as like, oh, that's so romantic, and it's just like, what? What part of that was romantic?
We need to have a talk.
So, yeah. Ranma, but instead of water, it's Viagra. Oh. So anyway, yeah, that's effects and side effects. Don't read this story, it's garbage.
Like, I almost want to just, like, skim through it on my own time just to see how shit it is.
You can go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm just saying, I warned you.
No, his thing, right? Like, if I were to go in there, I'd be like, okay, so I know this is garbage, but I want to see how much garbage.
I will protect you. Excuse me, ma'am, but that's right. Anyway, so now that we covered that, this is The Witch and the Hound, Chapter 2. So, as a refresher to everyone, in the first chapter of this Fate Stay Night Familiar of Zero crossover, Luis gets angry and summons Chuchulain. And, then he kidnaps her and flees to the forest. And it was a very stilted conversation between the two, not because the author wrote it in a manner to, present some sort of personality conflict between the two or something. But no, they just don't know how to write dialogue. That's why it was stilted. False confidence is what Luis felt walking along the school's outer wall. Chu, the one who called himself her familiar, walked beside her, donning the strange outfit he wore when she first laid eyes on him. It was almost enough to pull her thoughts away from the situation at hand, but Luis could tell by the way he was trying to start up a friendly conversation that her shaking legs were no secret. A cold sweat was beginning to form on the back of her neck with each grueling step as they finally reached the entrance. It was at that moment the pressure boiled over. "How can you be so calm at a time like this?" Louise blurted out. "They could label you a kidnapper, even if you told me you're my familiar, which is still hard to believe. I'm sure they will be on edge seeing me suddenly appear with a strange man. What if I get accused of running away and hiring a mercenary?" Well, by the fact that his spear is really fucking magical, and that his flying Solomon martial arts allows him to basically fly, I think you'll be fine.
Just going out on a limb here, you'll probably be fine.
Huffing and puffing, Louise swiftly turned to face the man. Why is she huffing and puffing? Turned to face the man on her side, hoping to find a comrade in worries. Eh? Why should that be any concern? Louise was slack-jawed by the response. Don't you folks have some way of identifying a familiar? She halted, frozen with wide eyes, as she took a few steps back from the man. How could she have forgotten something so important? The first thing she should have checked before believing that he was the one she summoned. The figure ahead of her turned to face her with a small voice crept up through her throat and out her lips. "Let me see your hands." She gave Q's hands all her attention as they wordlessly stretched forward. Studiously, her eyes took her a long time, going over the bare and empty flash. Louise's thoughts froze and her knees buckled. The mental strain of being tossed between hope and despair so rapidly had finally caught up with her. She felt like an imbecile, slumped to the ground in front of the man, her every thought retarded from growth. Well, you certainly got that right, author. She is certainly retarded in your story. Hey, I didn't say it. The author did.
I see.
Laughter was all she could muster as warm tears began to fall from her eyes onto the ground beneath her. Any moment now, the man who called himself Jew would break the charade, and her class would come out from behind the gate as well. No good, huh? I figured as much from such a rough ritual, not to mention the strange lack of bond between us. Louise's head shifted just enough to see Chu expecting his hands with a curious look. That is, when she felt her rage start to overcome her. She didn't want to blame herself for the situation, her feelings, the future to come, and she just started to shift. Yeah, I guess that's worth a try. A violent gust whipped past her tiny frame, blowing her hair back and instantly drying her tears. Chu once again donned his armor and readily he was already wearing the outfit.
Yeah.
In front of him, oh wait, did he take off the armor to let her... Author, you gotta mention this shit. In front of him, white glowing runes that seemed to be carved into the very earth itself. The air was heavy with magic, and Louise's mind felt wiped with a thought at the sight. Heed my words. Louise felt her body stiffened like a rod had been placed down her spine. That's some really awkward wording. Forcing her to sit upright. Your will creates my body, and my lance creates your destiny. I have answered your call and obey your will and reason. The runes began to peel off the ground and drift into the air, forming together as the atmosphere gathered even more weight. So answer me and entrust your destiny to my lance. Louise's mind swirled as she once again got caught up in the moment and answered without hesitation. I accept. Her voice cracked as a mighty yell leapt from her. Leap from her. Good job, author.
Yes.
She sprung to her feet and was greeted by a grin from the chanting man. On my honors as Chuchalain, child of light, I confirm this oath and accept you as my master, Louise Francois de Blanc de la Valerie. The runic words hanged in the air grew even more intense and shot directly at Q's idle left hand. Louise could have sworn she heard a searing sound as he extended his hand towards her. She took it and could feel the remaining energy in the air compress at the point of contact before a vicious explosion of magical energy burst out from their position, creating a cloud of dust around them. The moment word of Louise Valerie's explosion Oh, again, that, yeah. Technically correct, but still awkward phrasing. The moment word of Louise Valerie's expulsion from the Academy of Magic touched the eyes of her mother, I'm not drunk enough to try and comprehend this. Well, that's it for the vodka. Woo! Okay. There was only one word that could sum up the reaction. Fury. Luckily, Catalea had been present, was able to calm her mother down before promising to go to the school. She would get her dear sister and talk to the school about the expulsion. Unfortunately, her mother, Karen, wasn't interested in talks with the school and only wanted her daughter to come home immediately. Worried about her dear Louise, Catalea left as quickly as possible. She couldn't wrap her head around Louise not being able to summon a familiar. Sure, her sister had incomprehensible trouble with casting magic, but the explosions were surely proof of something. With that thought in mind, Catalea left her pets at home and chose to travel with only the barest necessities. She mused about how unlike her it was to feel this rush, but couldn't shake the small nag at the back of her mind that something was actually wrong. 2 days of travel were rough on her sickly body, but she pushed through only to have that nagging sensation return at a short distance away from the academy as the carriage came to a dead halt. Ma'am, the horses refused to go any further. The driver called back to her as the wild calls of animals almost drowned out the man's voice. Catalea stepped out of the cabin to see what the fuss was about, only to be stopped in her tracks as the sight of Louise reaching out to grab the hand of the blue-clad spearman. The magic in the air boomed and a shockwave followed. Oh, how convenient that Catalea showed up just in time to witness this. The magic in the air boomed and a shockwave followed by an explosion of dust swallowed the area around her dear sister. There was a nagging feeling quickly turning into panic. Catalea's reaction felt like second nature. Pulling her wand from its holster and she chanted a spell. Oh no, my sister is about to shake the hand of that spearman. Oh, magic is exploding out of them. I should shoot the spearman! What kind of jump of logic is that?
To be fair, a good older sibling would be like, oh shit, my kid so-and-so just exploded.
Except she's fine.
That doesn't change the fact that there was an explosion and a stranger that they have no fucking clue who was there.
Well, no, they did know they were there. They exited the carriage. They see the spearman and Louise shaking hands, and then a shockwave of magic explodes off of them, and then the dust clears, and she pulls her gun on him.
Okay, I don't know if it's because you're drunk or because the English language is a pain in the ass. There is a stranger there that they didn't know. Not that they didn't know about stranger, they don't know this person.
This is standard Klingon behavior. Apparently, after is a fan of Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. The ground beneath her shook, rose up and beneath her, shook, past tense, rose up, past tense, and surged forward, present tense.
Mm-hmm.
This is one fast.
So the author is aware of what tenses are, it seems. But he's like, oh, well, it's happening now, so clearly it's present tense. No. I understand the mistake, but no. Louise! Frantically, she called for her sister. The closer she came to the cloud before the magic carrying her faded, settling her to stumble into a run. The dust began to settle, and she once again raised her wand to cast a spell, but this time the aim was to separate her sister from the suspicious man. As a wall of earth sprung up between the two, Catalea nearly hit Louise with a full tackle, grappling the surprised girl. She pulled Louise close and held her one out to anyone that would come from behind the barrier. Muffled sounds came out from her bosom as the flailing pile of pink hair tried to say something. Wow, that's the flailing pile of pink hair.
Interesting.
Okay. Beside her struggling sister, it was impossibly quiet. Catalea looked around but saw nothing. Someone you know, lass? The voice from behind her startled her into the spin, in which she promptly fell onto her butt, releasing Louise and her wand in the process. Stunned, she looked up at the man who was only giving her a passing glance. She was trying to reason out what had just happened when a gasping Louise spoke up. Elder sister! Catalea was nearly knocked to the ground when the pinkette hugged her. A lot of knocking to the ground. The man in blue laughed and hoisted the two of them to their feet. He gave a toothy grin and remained silent. Catalea's mind was swimming with questions, but she supposed those could wait since Louise seemed fine for now. That is a startling transition there. Fucking... I gotta save my sister, pulls gun out. Oh, no, I dropped my gun! How did he get behind me? Oh, things are fine now. What? That de-escalated quickly. My dear little Louise, how have you been? She gave a beaming smile and brushed a hand through the girl's hair. The question was greeted with a complicated look. Joyful, but with a deep sense of exhaustion and frustration right below the surface. Okay, look, I don't know about you guys, but I can interpret when someone's happy and they're sad and when they're angry. I don't know if it's just me or the author bullshitting how deep you can read into someone's facial expression. So, can any of you tell when someone's joyful to see you, but they also have a deep sense of exhaustion and frustration? No?
I could guess at what that would look like, but
I'm sure I could just go look at whatever poor bastard stuck running the place that I quit.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. I suppose retail workers have mastered the "Hi, I'm here to help you, but I would rather die" look.
I am contractually obligated to assist you. However, death would be a preferable alternative.
This is actually how all the contracts with Serons work.
Alright, so Bubba.
Technically speaking.
Shu could feel the strum of magical energy linking him to the small girl ahead of him. It was much more defined than the vague bond between them before, and he could say for certain now that he was receiving proper maintenance. Kinky. Even with the issue squared away, the situation was still strange. Not that there was anything he couldn't handle, but having a proper understanding of your surroundings was important. Louise snuck a look at him as the group made their way through the corridors of the castle. Something wrong, master? He gave a toothy smile to the small girl. She didn't respond and quickly snapped her head forward to continue the conversation with her sister. For the wrecked ball of shifting emotions that Louise was ever since. For the wrecked ball. Why is that the word you put into past tense? Okay. That Louise was, since waking up, she definitely seems stable now. Ow. His new master was interesting to say the least. She told him that this institution considered her a failure, but being able to summon a heroic spirit through dimensions was quite a feat. I don't think the heroic spirit knew about dimensions. saying?
Yep.
He was certain she was a diamond in the rough, just as he began to muse if Skathath would be jealous. The group arrived at its destination and began to file into a large circular room, sparsely decorated. Why is there a semicolon there? I was reading a story earlier, and the author was using, don't get me wrong, he was using a bunch of semicolons properly, but still in the creative narrative, and it's just like, why? Either a period or a comma. Like, semicolon, like, the reason why I get so irritated is semicolon doesn't really have its own form of verbal, pronunciation. Because the comma is comma is a light pause, while a period is a light pause / stop. Semicolon is both or either. And so it's just like, why are you using it then in a non-research paper environment? But anyway, moving on. Because you guys are no help.
Well, Sneaky, you're going on a grammar lecture. As long as you're being grammatically correct, there's nothing else for us to say, is there?
I suppose so. Anyway, so it's a circular room, and blah, 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 what's-her-face is there, Lungeville, or whatever the fuck, blah, blah. Blah, blah, choo-choo train, blah, 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 blah. Valerie, tell us what's going on. I summoned my familiar, blah, blah. You failed to summon a familiar. Must I remind you that's why you were expelled. They ask what's so funny. Master, if there's nothing important to be done here, we should leave. There are better ways to spend your time. I was hoping they might provoke my expulsion if I could prove this I summoned you. I don't mind this kind of stubbornness, but is there any reason you want to stay here? From what you explained to me earlier, it sounds like they failed to teach you anything. Blah, blah. Blah, blah. The air was pregnant with tension. He knew his words would have some effect, but there was no point in dancing around the point. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone looks sadly at Louise. Blah, 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 blah. Sister, I'll leave the finalization of my expulsion to you. Chew, we're heading out. Let's go pack up. After all, there's no need to prolong my stay at the school that isn't capable of teaching me. That was a fucking 180.
Yeah. From, boy, I need to succeed for the sake of my family to, nah, I'm out.
That was...
I did remember being rather confused by that.
Choo-choo train heard the shouts of a muffled man, blah, 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 maid, blah, 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 blah. And the original reason for his summoning had been stripped and perverted, blah, 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 blah. From the abnormal state of the war to being whisked away to another world, he felt a little bit unkilter. He shouldn't remember the previous war because there's no reason for him to remember the previous war. Only true people remembered the previous war, author. And that was someone who didn't die, so of course she remembered the previous war. And the other guy also didn't die, so of course he remembered the previous war. It is amusing how that worked. Look, there's not a lot of things I say you need to know about when you're writing fanfiction.
No, actually, we've said there's quite a few things, but go ahead.
No, because I don't say you need to know all about guns. I don't say you need to know all about, college level biology. I don't say you need to know about, how economics work. If you're like, oh, I went to the cash register and, exchanged money. It's like, yeah, whatever, fine. But, what I do say you need to know about is your fucking source material. And while I do admit that the Faithverse does play quite fast and loose with its rules, and more or less has a separate rule set for every single fucking person, there is some universal rules, and one of those universal rules is that servants do not remember other times that they have been summoned. The only reason why Arturia broke that rule is because she never technically died and never technically went to the Throne of Heroes in the first place. She, as long as she has existed, made a deal with Alea to become a pseudo-heroic spirit to gain the Grail to turn back time. So, as no other character has done this feat, besides Shiro, who tries to kill himself by going back into the past via summoning into the Grail War, it would stand to reason that no other character then would therefore remember the Grail Wars they've been summoned to.
As you say, not remembering the Grail Wars is kind of an important thing.
It's not important, it's just, a detail that makes a difference between I'm talking out of my ass and I know Fate stuff. It's the difference between being a James Fox and being a writer.
Ooh, ouch.
Well, alright then.
Look, dude, so a little bit backstory behind that is he released a chapter recently, and Lulu confronted him again about something in his latest chapter, and his response was that Taylor didn't have the time to look up any more heroes than the 7 she used, because she's a millennial and doesn't go on Wikipedia. Also, because she's a millennial, books aren't a thing.
What?
Yeah, that was his reasoning. Because Taylor is a millennial, she only skimmed Wikipedia once, and she doesn't read books.
I see.
Isn't he a millennial?
Yes.
And most of us here are millennials, unfortunately. I don't know what I would do without Wikipedia sometimes, because they're great at citing sources.
Yes.
And keeping that stuff
they
in
actually
order.
always have been. Our teachers just didn't want us to have the easy way to do it.
More or less, yeah.
So, as a millennial, I'm calling horse shit.
Also, this is my favorite bit. When he was confronted about that part, he then responded with, Taylor was too busy working out all day. And I'm just like, that's not how workouts work.
That's how suicide works.
There is a limit to how much you can work out per day before you just start hurting yourself. Human body limits are a thing. Yeah. It's just, it was painful, honestly. It was so fucking painful. JDF is just, he's like Fairy Tail Dragon Slayer, but his head is so far up his own ass that his head is up his own head. Oh no. Anyway, so let us continue. I want to just spend time ranting about JDF. Could he be projecting a bit? Yes, he's likely projecting.
I'd like to astrally project myself out of this show.
Anyway, so, blah blah. Blah blah. So that's how it is to be young. Blah blah. Scath would be jealous. Blah 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 blah. She's short, thin, blah blah. And now she is his pupil. Say, lass, how about I train you how to do magic?
You okay there, Sneaky?
I feel like it's gotten worse on a second read through. Because I don't remember it being this bad.
How the fuck is he going to train her in magic?
You know what? No.
Well,
No.
Ku can be summoned as a caster. Like, he can do magic.
No, there is no dramaturgical foundation here. There is so much things missing. Luis won't be able to do shit. These runes, as he calls them, will be just scribbles.
Yeah, the issue is he can't teach her magic, he can teach her rune magecraft. Like, he wouldn't know what magic is, technically, because that's from that's cheat codes in the Fateverse from the time he's in.
Yes.
So he can offer to teach her rune magecraft, and even then, he's a little stunted because he's a lancer and not a caster.
Yeah, but the point is, he can do that.
No, he can. He can do the basic runes in his lancer form. And as a caster, he still has his spearmanship, he's just not as strong. Apparently he got the short end of the shit stick. His powers actually split between those two classes, apparently.
Anyway.
So he's actually weaker. Go figure.
Well, that's E rank luck for you.
That's a fair point. Oh.
So
he deserves better. He's a good boy.
As I make this mixed drink, a little bit more. What I wanted to say was that Luis likely can't even do magecraft.
Yeah,
because there's no odd
thing about magic circuits, I believe.
Yeah, magic circuits, odd, mana, etc.
Some amount of natural talent in it. You know, like being born on Earth. Just a thought.
It's the same gripe I have when a Skyrim character goes, "Hey, let me teach you Skyrim magic," and it's just like, look, I'm willing to buy the Skyrim character still being able to use Skyrim magic because it's kind of pointless then if they can't. Then they're just a generic fighter.
Yeah, you know what? I would appreciate a fic where the Skyrim character says, like, "Here, just read this." Why aren't you learning?
No, my favorite part is there was a fic that was cracky like that, and when they handed someone the Sparks book, and they open up the book and it's just the word Sparks 1,000 times.
Alright, see, that's funny.
Yeah, and Skyrim guy's just like, well, why isn't it working?
But you can sort of handle it because the typical Skyrim character being crossed over into a story is Dovahkiin, because Skyrim, not Elder Scrolls, Skyrim.
Yes.
So because of this, I could buy some sort of hand wave of like, oh, because their soul's dragony and it's attached to Akatosh, they can funnel mana from their Tamriel through their soul to cast spells, whatever. It's hand waving them. It doesn't really have to make sense. It just has to be viable. But teaching someone else, like I saw this one story where the Dragonborn ends up in Ruby, and the dragon was like, "Oh, I'll teach you guys my magic," and they're like, "Okay, cool." And they start casting like fireballs and electricity and shit. And it's just like, but they don't have mana pool because they weren't born on Tamriel, and there's no mana holes in the universe to give them the mana they need to cast spells. It's just, I get why they try to do this stuff, because they're like, we want to introduce elements from one thing into another, but if that element specifically requires the universe to function a certain way, but whatever. Let's continue on to our next story. So what do you guys feel like doing today?
Everyone a robot. Exterminate.
for me.
Emergency, emergency. I get it, yeah, tonight. Tomorrow, protect the spirit. There's a dark and stormy night.
You were having far too much with the voice being changed due to bad connection. Hold on, let me change the servers to, let's try the south.
Ooh, the depths.
Is everyone good now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
More or less.
Excellent, excellent. So it looks like Chicago's having issues. Someone must have done a drive-by on the server again. Alright, so then, let us continue.
Yes.
So we got some Worm Fix. We already covered Harry Potter, so we're going to ignore that. We got some Worm Fix, more Worm Fix, some Naruto Fix, Naruto Fate Stay Night Fix. Oh, we already did
Sneaky,
Fate Stay Night.
Sneaky. Wait, get back down. There was a fic about Johnny Arc, something Ruby. Maybe a Ruby fic.
Ruby.
Lower. Johnny Arc augmented. Lower.
Oh!
Up. This.
Alright.
Is this bad?
Oh,
Well,
it's
of
something.
course it's gonna be bad.
Oh, it is something. Alright, so this is John Arc. Augmented. Alright, let me get my cheapo voice convert.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
John Arc was a genius. A genius with potential. As well as the money and resources behind his name. Yet, before his journey begins, his home is razed to the ground, and his adventure is almost ended there. Instead, he loses his arms, replacing them with mechanical ones, unlike the world has ever seen before. John Arc will go to Beacon to help people who can't help themselves. John times Yang times Blink. How do you guys feel about that story?
I hate everybody.
I think there was a fic about Harry Potter with a similar premise, but with Sirius Black working for that pink toad.
Really?
Yeah, Harry had his arms replaced with something mechanical.
That's fascinating. Note! Welcome everyone! This is, ladies and gentlemen, to the prologue of my remade and rewritten John Arc the Tinkerer. Oh boy. I promise you all, this will be much better than my previous version. It'll have more action, more romance, longer chapters, clever jokes, music. Hold on to your butts, cause it's John Arc augmented. Oh boy. Gazing out of the window, John directed his gaze to the slowly falling snow. Soft as a feather, it fell in clumps, gathering as it fell, so that it transformed from individual flakes into larger pieces. Some people say that, like people, no two snowflakes are exactly the same. This is, however, a misunderstanding. Snowflakes, which have been exact replicas of each other, have been found before. If that's true, does that mean there are people who are like each other? Is it possible for two people somewhere in this vast, vast universe to be the same? From their looks, to their brains, to the way it is possible for them to be the exact same. Yeah, it's called twins. My dude,
Sneaky,
you
does
don't
it
have to
hurt
get
your throat to
philosophical about
switch
this.
between...
It's called twins.
Sneaky, does it hurt to switch your throat between Adam Sandler and Orson Welles constantly?
I didn't ask for this.
Please stop talking.
The deep voice life didn't choose me. I chose it.
And now this is Dwayne Johnson when he was sad because he lost his balls. Finally.
That's tasty. Blah 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 blah. Twins. Blah 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 blah. What would that mean for the soul? If the aura is a reflection of one's soul, and one's soul is the exact same as another person's, is their aura not also the same? Now that is a question I would like answered by the Rooster Teeth staff. Oh wait, it was. Also, this is another thing. This is the little part where I do say people should know this sort of shit before they start trying to be all philosophical and crap. So the author's asking, trying to be philosophical. Maybe they not personally are interested in the answer, but they are trying to be philosophical because it sounds philosophical.
I would say they're trying to provoke the reader to thought, but they're doing it in the worst way.
They're trying to have John go, is it possible for there to be two people out there that are the exact same in every single way? And the answer is, if you had looked on Google, is it possible for two people to be the exact same? The answer is yes, because we have done extensive studies. In fact, identical twins, are so heavily studied, they are used as control cases when on different things. Because identical twins are so identical, they will end up, if they are separated, so as identical twins, you'll typically have one twin go one way, another twin go another way. That's the kind of stereotype. Or you also have the, double speak. That's the other stereotype.
Yeah.
The reason why one twin goes one way and the other twin goes the other way is so they can differentiate themselves from the same person. But it was found through, again, extensive study of, a shit ton of twins, identical twins that were separated at birth, raised in completely different areas with completely different lifestyles, grew up to marry similar-looking people, grew up to buying similar-looking houses in similar-looking areas, finding similar occupations.
Well, and they're even choices of educational institutions can be quite similar. Look at
cars, education, group of friends, hobbies. Literally, all of it is similar or the exact same.
Well, yeah, like Sneaky. I was gonna say, because you remember the story about the identical triplets who were separated at birth, and then they all met each other at the same college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have done.
Now, granted, that is a fringe. That's like a super far out fringe example, but
yeah, we have done extensive study on this, and they are used in countless cases when you want to test how one thing happens, and then you want to control. So you have one twin, there's constant need for twins in science studies. Because you have one twin do X thing, and you have the other twin not do anything to test what happens between the two, because you know they will have the exact same reaction to stuff. So trying to be philosophical, sitting there going, oh, is it possible for two people to be the same? Can it happen? Yes! We have known this! It's not philosophical anymore. It's like asking, if I lift both of my feet off the ground, will I just float away? No! It's not philosophical anymore. We know that. If you want to be philosophical, at least try and make sure the topic you're talking about is still a philosophical one. Like, I'm not even asking, again, I'm not asking you to be an expert on it. I'm just asking you to make sure that your facts are straight before you start talking about it. If your character pulls out a gun, you don't need to talk about its fire rate or its penetration levels or anything. But if you're going to have the character pull out a gun and then vividly describe about how they fire 7 rounds in the span of a second, and it penetrates through 32 inches of steel to hit the person on the other side, I at least want you to be using a gun that can do those things. Because you specifically mentioned them. You know what I'm saying? It's not asking for much.
But see, you're asking anything from them.
Yeah, I know. I know. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into a discussion with people and have been told it's fan fiction. It can happen. It's like, no. It's not an excuse. It's fan fiction. It can happen is an excuse of like a story I saw earlier, where it's a worm story in which the story's premise is that Danny found a girlfriend who happens to be Missy Braun's mother. That's the fanfiction it can happen moment where Danny is going out with Missy's mom. That's the fanfiction moment. Then saying Leviathan shows up and starts tap dancing instead of drowning the entire city. No.
Okay, but
that's where that stops.
Hear me out. Leviathan brings his own backup dancer.
Hon, 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 Behemoth.
And a whole orchestra. And the Behemoth is on the drums.
So what, the Smurge doing vocals?
As long as Alexandra is doing pole dancing, I'm nothing against it.
No, Eidolon does the pole dancing.
Who?
Eidolon.
I'm not sure if you're both saying a word or just making a sound. My understanding of English isn't that good.
The guy who's the Trump, who can have any power.
Eidolon.
Sure, let's go with that.
Oh yeah, the guy who was like, oh yeah, I can make any power. Why did they? I never really got why he made the Endbringers.
But he didn't make the Endbringers, he woke them up, and he woke them up because the power he landed on when he was being mopey about not having a worthy opponent because he could have any power. So, I mean, that's fair enough. If your power is, you have the power to beat the person in front of you.
He had performance problems.
You're gonna
No, he had the exact opposite of that.
You're gonna have the One Punch Man melancholy.
Sneaky. It's the opposite. He was losing his power, started to lose his power, and then he thought that if he will have a worthy fight that will push him beyond his limits, then he will return to his full grace. That's why he woke up in Bringus.
Anyway, so he was being mopey one day for, insert reason, and his fourth power landed on Wake Up the Endbringers power. And he woke up the Endbringers and gave them the task of be a worthy opponent for me. Yeah.
Has Max died yet?
Yes, Max has died.
I'm dead. I'm just taunting this microphone now.
That sounds like you. I appreciate your dedication to this podcast. Now you'll be here every single week.
I mean, I am here every single week, so...
That is a false statement, sir. I do not appreciate using my platform to spread fake news.
I'm here every week, I'm just not here every podcast.
There's been like a week or two that you haven't been here. Anyway, not important. What is important is this story that John's being philosophical in. And then the teacher comes over and she's like, yo, hand in your tests. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's hilarious that no one else finished the test but him because his test was so easy because he's super smart and everyone else is dumb around him. And, blah, blah, blah. The teacher assistant took his test and didn't acknowledge him. John was pretty sure she hated him. And she was actually mad about him being himself. Because he was so smart and stuff. She was mad about it. Little did she know he had many tutors, and they all tutored him on everything. Because he had a hard time at things, so he was getting really smart because he had a lot of tutors. And blah, blah, blah. Really, he didn't actually have to be in class, but his parents insisted that he got social skills. Okay, that's actually a fair point on the parents' end. Yes, you do need to go to school to develop social skills.
I would say, believe it or not, there are a number of parents who actually make the very intelligent decision to hold their child back if they have the option to skip a grade.
Yeah, funny story about that, actually. So, they actually wanted to hold me back in kindergarten because they thought I was retarded.
I mean, you are.
Yes, but, like, retarded as in having issues speaking and understanding things. I can understand things perfectly fine. I just didn't like anyone, so I didn't speak to anyone. So they thought I was retarded.
Yeah, but ignoring Sneaky's edge case, like, I knew... you're an edge case of a myriad of problems, Sneaky.
This is a factual statement.
School was a little weird for me because I'm only 2 years younger than my brother. So, you know, I knew lots of people in his grade. What?
Everyone knew you from your brother.
Well, yes, but that wasn't the point.
Mm.
The point was I knew a lot of people in the grades, you know, 2 grades above me, because my brother's there.
Right.
And there were a couple of kids who should have been only 1 grade who should have only been 1 grade above me or in my grade,
right.
And most people didn't like them very much because they were weird and awkward.
Yeah.
Because they were 2 grades ahead of where they should have been.
Right.
It quite legitimately stunted their social growth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I will give J.K. Rowling. This is a rare moment, everyone. I'll give J.K. Rowling props on that, of having Hermione being very smart and also having basically no friends because she constantly shows up how smart she is. And nobody likes that sort of person. That's why when Max first met me, I barely talked.
Max, can you confirm?
Not really. My first interactions with him over voice were over Left 4 Dead 2, so it's kind of necessary to talk.
Yeah, but like there would be weeks, and when I was at high school, where I hadn't talked for like 3 days. The only time I would talk was when Max came on and like pinged me. Like, I very much did not speak before college. Then I got into college and stopped caring what everyone thought about me, so I just said fuck it. It was as obnoxious as possible, because I don't care. But, enough life story, let's get back into this garbage. So, blah blah, blah blah, John observes everyone because he's so smart, and so he learned how to socialize because he observed people. And, John didn't necessarily know what to talk about, since he considered talking about women with massive tits and games about blood flying out of people's asses stupid. I don't know what kind of game you're playing that blood flies out of someone's ass. I don't even know what it's a reference to.
Postal.
I mean, I guess.
Postal 2.
Did anyone ever talk about Postal or Postal 2?
Postal 2 is awesome.
Has
You
that
can
ever?
piece the person and kill him with your own piece.
Not. I'm not talking about like your opinion of it. I'm talking about, has anyone ever talked about it? Has it ever come up in conversation? Small talk conversation, not specifically, hey, let's talk about Postal 2. But just like, hey, we're talking, and now let's talk about Postal 2. Has that ever happened?
Yeah.
Really?
When it was popular.
Wouldn't know. I've literally never. I didn't even know the Postal series was a thing until like 2012ish, 2013ish.
Sorry, people were screaming. What did I miss?
Literally nothing.
We are talking about how you can piece a person to death. Literally can
Yep.
piece on him until he dies.
Yep. Anyway, so blah blah blah. They might infect him with perversion.
What?
Blah blah blah. If your tests are collected, you can leave. Blah blah blah. Actually, everyone packed up and left. Blah blah blah. What the fuck? Please don't just wait at the door like you usually do. It's hard to keep an eye on you when you do that. John placed his extra reading into his school satchel and then headed over to one of the desks closest to the door. That way, he was not waiting by the door, but rather on top of the desk, which happened to be by the door. Damn, did he love loopholes. You know what? I'll actually give kudos to the author on this. I don't know how old John is, but I definitely know some people who thought they were smug as shit thinking about those sort of loopholes. And it's like, that's not a loophole.
I was going to say, based on the way they've portrayed this particular version, that is the kind of thing that a person like him would think is like, ah ha ha ha, I'm so clever. No, you're not. Like, 12-year-olds do that. Not 12, like...
That's like 10-year-old level smugness.
You just said I had to wait. I couldn't wait by the door, but I'm just waiting by a desk that's by the door.
Yeah, it's just like, that's...
Congratulations, you figured out how to violate the spirit of the law without violating the letter of
This
the law.
violates the NAP! Anyway, so blah blah blah, he put on his coat, and blah blah blah, small children, blah blah blah, freezing weather, blah blah blah. Did you have a good day at school today? Master Arc? Yes, I had a mundane yet reasonable day today, Colin. How about you? Is your wife giving you any more troubles? John responded easily. He made sure to always know what was going on in his servants' lives. That's... After all, you wouldn't want someone working for you to decide you're too much of a pompous prick and kill you. He says, unironically, after acting like a pompous prick.
Here's the thing, if I thought they were clever, I would say that that's exactly what they were going for, but I'm not willing to give that author this much credit.
You haven't seen enough to give the author any credit on that end yet?
Pretty much.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Alright, so, apparently that happens more often than not over in the Winchester family home. No.
I was gonna say, yeah, so for a half second, I was like, no, there have not been any murders in my house, nor are we wealthy enough for that.
Really? You're gonna go there, author? Okay. My day was rather pleasant, thanks. No, me and my wife are just fine now. Turns out I've simply been playing too many games in my spare time. After a talk and some compromise, we have made it work.
That sounds like someone spoon a stick up his ass just to make the words fit together.
I do not comprehend. I talked to a lot of adults when I was a kid, don't get me wrong. I was basically I was the poster child of the weird kid who just read all the time in the corner of the classroom.
Yep.
I talked to a lot of adults. At no point in time would any such discussions ever come up because the adults, even though they would always say he's very mature and shit, very quiet and shit.
First of all, I do like that that's one of our baseline measurements for... Is this kid able to keep his mouth shut and not annoy me? He's mature.
Basically. Like, as much as as my parents got told that throughout my grade school years, no adult has ever talked to me about their love life.
And if they are, they better be day drunk.
Well, I never talked to drunk people either.
No, like I'm saying. Like, if an adult is telling a child about their love life, there better be some real heavy day drinking.
Well, yeah. But it's just like... Hey, hey, you okay? You look a little bit tired. Oh, yes, just having some trouble at home. Oh, okay. What kind of trouble? Oh, just some, adult troubles. Oh, okay. What kind of adult troubles? Just having a rough time at life. Oh, okay. How adults successfully evade kid questions 101. You have all been educated. Boring adult things was probably the number one thing I've ever heard in response to a question I've ever asked of someone when I was a kid. Can either of you confirm that one?
I mean, I didn't...
You didn't ask questions?
Well, see, I didn't care. Like, I was like,
Fair.
Is anyone bothering me? Can I just read my book in peace? Great. But the few times I did try to talk to, adults or parents or whatever, it was like, yes. Whatever.
They watched what they said around them, It wasn't like...
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh yeah, Martha's giving me a hard time holding out on the sex skin. It's like, no adult. Martha! Yeah, it's just like...
See, now I just imagine some kid being like, hey man on the street, what's wrong? Well, my wife left me, probably because of the drinking. My liver's failing, definitely because of the drinking. And my own children hate me.
Not because of the drinking.
Not because of the drinking, but because I'm currently in a court case for sexually harassing you. Because of the drinking.
Oh, that's a sad life we just constructed for some poor bastard out there.
But
just
he
another
paid his
day in
mortgage off,
Alabama.
And his credit rating is fantastic.
It's the little things.
It's the little things, dude. Oh god. Anyway, so time for some character description. Is everyone ready for the character description? Because you just casually observe people, right? That's what you do in a first-person narrative. You just look at people and you're like, he's probably about... But anyway, so I do give kudos to the author in that they did pay attention to the Ruby size chart. He was about 6'5", human.
One of the greatest things Monty left us was that size chart.
Human. Wow, author, I'm really glad you included their species in there.
Well, there is more than one that can talk.
I mean, are faunas really non-human? They're humans with animal parts.
I'm not sure if it's canon or canon, but apparently transplants from faunas to human and in reverse aren't possible.
I wouldn't know. I don't pick air enough.
I see.
They're just genetically not matching together.
I'm gonna press X to doubt.
Yeah, I doubt that because they can interbreed.
No, they can interbreed, but the child will be either 100% human or 100% fauns. There will be no half breeds. That's not possible.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever
aren't
mentioning
faunas in
transplants
Wait,
being
aren't
impossible,
faunas
though.
in general half breeds? I'm just.
No, I'm pretty
just
sure
saying.
they're just a separated species.
Well, separate species can't interbreed.
Well, yes, that's how you gain S's, but
And remember, to all the weebs out there, that's why you can never have sex with a cat girl and get a child.
No, you could probably
Not
have
because
sex
they're
with, no.
fictional, but because genetics says you can't.
No, you probably could.
Sneaky, do not encourage them.
No, I will encourage them. Japan's paying me off.
Are they
don't
paying
worry,
you off with a
Sneaky.
cat
We
girl?
know all about your kittens.
I
Don't worry,
cannot
Sneaky.
speak about the kind of deal Japan has offered me.
They're holding his kittens
How many
hostage.
tentacles?
But if you hear any meowing in the background, ignore it.
See, now I'm waiting for you to just get a cat and just let people ask questions.
No, I did not have sex with my cat.
And
He didn't say cat
click.
girl. He didn't say cat girl. He said
That's
cat.
true.
Yes,
And I still think that Japan is holding his kittens hostage.
they are.
You think he could be held hostage by, like, emotions? He doesn't care about anyone. He barely cares about
I
himself.
have to say, my when I
You
had a
don't understand
girlfriend.
how much investments those half breeds will be. Each one will cost about 2 million euro.
So my
He's
ex's
held back by
father tried to do the whole threaten the boyfriend routine on me. Call him in, be polishing her gun and whatnot. And so
Wait,
he does that.
They actually try that? I'd
he,
be like,
he actually tried.
interesting. It seems like you're threatening me. Would you care to repeat that into the microphone?
So he calls me in. He's polishing his shotgun, right? Finishes his statement with cocking the shotgun, and I just laugh in his face and I tell him to get fucking line.
No, but like seriously, if anyone ever tries that on you, remember, they've just threatened you, and you can press charges.
Oh, I know, but it's just like at the
Now,
time
granted,
you have to keep in mind I was working the job for New Jersey government, and so it was like a lot of people wanted me dead. So it's just like get in line.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say, I'm just saying, while it may not be a strong, it may not be a good start. It is a strong start.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got C8 says Zara, get the cat.
And that's how strokes happen.
Fair enough. Anyway, so blah blah blah, tiny car, blah blah blah. He was dressed as all male art servants were.
In hot pants and a tight t-shirt.
Exactly. In a custom-made charcoal suit with long tailcoats.
Look, I'm just saying, my version is at least more interesting for the reader.
Blah blah blah, black suspenders.
Wait, hold on a minute. You have a charcoal gray suit and black suspenders?
Uh-huh. Yep.
No!
Yeah.
That's not... You do not put suspenders on a suit. Oh my god.
I have to say though, I do love being a man when it comes to formal events. Because the question is, what do I wear? Black. Alright, how much black do I have? All the black. Excellent. Done.
What are my options? Black, gray, white.
Brown.
If you're really daring. Well, no,
Yeah.
Sneaky, no one our age wears brown. Brown
Fair
is for
enough,
old men.
Yeah, that's fair.
Brown is for
No,
monkeys.
tweed is for old men.
No, here's the thing. Brown is still for old men. It's just like brown is for the kids that don't know how to dress themselves.
That's fair.
Nicolas Cage wears brown. He's not
Yeah,
a kid,
but
he knows how to wear
I
himself.
will admit that when you move away from black, you do have to, coordinate shoe color and pant color and suit color and undershirt color. But when it comes to, like, if you want to wear black, you can wear black shoes, you can wear black pants, you wear a blue undershirt, white undershirt, blue button-up, black suit coat.
Boom,
Easy
you're
as
done.
hell. Yeah. Easy as hell. Thank God I have a penis.
Okay, but see, here's the counterpoint to that. Girls are like, oh, guys have it so easy, they can just wear a suit. I'm like, listen, girls can wear suits too.
They can. And they can look very hot in them.
I'm just going to say, oh, but I won't look good in one. No, trust me. Like, even if you buy a suit that's cut for a guy, other than,
Well,
being
as long as
real
it's
loose
fitted
in
for
certain
you.
areas,
Yeah,
you'll still look fine.
Yeah.
Trust us, you look fine.
Well, no,
Also-
no girl in existence has ever trusted a guy when they said you look fine.
I know, but we can still try to get it out there. I was just say, and the other thing is,
We're doing our part.
yes, I was say, the other thing is, oh, I have to buy a different dress for every event. No, you don't. Once again, we as the guys guarantee you that no guy is gonna go and see, oh, it's the same thing from last year.
No
Ugh,
guy
how
will
boring.
ever remember.
No, like, here's the thing. They might remember, but if they do, it's because they thought you looked good in it.
Exactly, yeah. And honestly, as stunted as I am, I'm gonna let you guys on a little secret. They will probably go, boy, I hope she wears that dress again.
You say that it's not like it's some big secret either.
That's why I'm letting them in on it. Can't let them in on the bigger secrets.
The bigger secrets, like how to form friendships with violence.
Exactly.
You punch each other in the
There's
face.
two groups of people that know about that. Men and Japanese people.
Hold on a minute.
Which are,
you know what? I'm better off not asking you questions that I don't want answers to.
Well, I mean, because, like, pretty much every magical girl anime has the main character shooting large-ass laser beams at the, antagonist at that moment and then forming friendships with them afterward.
At some point in a magical girl anime, you're probably going to see someone get hit really hard with something.
And then they're friends.
Yes, and
It's
it will
called
range...
the friendship. I call this the friendship bomb.
Like I said.
Why is it called
yes.
the Fat Man?
Yeah, it ranges from bombs to
Oh.
lasers to fists.
Look, we nuked Japan twice.
Sneaky. This is why you are not allowed to speak.
You know, the easiest thing in
I'm
the
a
world
very
to make a
stubborn
puppy bomb.
individual.
All you need is a grenade and a puppy. Everything gains such a red
Anyway,
tint.
let's continue. Alright, so blah 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 blah. He looks like a butler. Blah blah, 9 years. Blah blah, here's a bodyguard. Blah blah blah, large bald uncle. Blah blah blah. 17 different kinds of unarmed combat. Then again, every guard had 17 kinds of unarmed combat. Blah blah, several square miles of land. The guards lived 2 miles away in the forest. Blah 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 blah. The Ark family had an army. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Generic, snooty conversation. So, Colin, it's been fairly cold out this year, eh? Think the increased amount of snow will cause extra problems this year? Oh, I wouldn't worry, Master Ark. I'm sure your mother is sorting out the snow plows as we speak. Oh, yeah, she is a very prepared individual. So anyway, blah blah blah, they're on the road, blah 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 blah. John swipes his card on the retinal scanner, blah 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 blah. He gets inside. Blah blah blah. It's a very rich, ornate house filled with rich, ornate people, and blah blah blah. Very nice view. It was the only window in the house that wasn't bulletproof, and it was a sign of trust and symbolism.
I'm sorry, it was the only room. The only what?
The only room in the house that was not bulletproof. Which I find this hilarious. So they have security on every door with retinal scanners and swipe cards and all sorts of shit. And every other window is bulletproof. And then they're like, hey, this giant ass window here is not gonna be bulletproof. So it's just like, and why? Oh, it's a symbol of our trust. Okay, then why do you have retinal scans on every door?
Well, we trust you. We don't trust your eyes.
Your eyes are liars! Alright, so, blah blah, huge set of double doors, blah blah, smaller doors inside the double doors, blah 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 blah, massive paintings of the ancestors of the arks. Gabriel Ark, who was an angel who came down from the heavens to fight in the Great War, and Cobalt Ark, his mother's mother, who turned this family from a family of hunters and fabled heroes into businessmen.
That seems like a downgrade. Gonna be real.
Yeah, it kind of is, honestly. Ah, yes, my great-great-great-grandfather was the fabled hero of legend. Oh, what did your great-great-grandfather do? He sold soup on Tuesdays.
And the one before that, hobo. Like, for once, you know what? Let's get a fantasy character. Oh, what's your claim to fame? My grandfather was a hobo. What?
There's actually nothing way to tell that you have no foundation. It means you made yourself.
Girl anime has the main character shooting large-ass laser beams.
That's how it's supposed to work in anime.
Forming friendships with them afterward.
Not the absolute bullshit that was in Naruto.
Girl anime, you're probably going to see someone get hit really hard with something.
And then they're friends.
Yes, alright then.
I call this the friendship bomb.
Like I said.
Why is it called the Batman?
A moment of silence for the dead dream.
Oh, there's lots of dead dreams, but...
Look, we nuked Japan twice.
Sneaky.
Well done, C8. Well done. Anyway, so blah blah blah, the Yellow Death, the fabled Grim Slaying Blade, blah blah blah. It's unbreakable, blah 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 blah. Surrounded by relics, the oldest thing in the room was his father. Ooh, what a burn. Why don't I ever say these out loud? My jokes are so great, my puns are so clever, and I'm so funny. I should say puns out loud. Fancy that. That's really funny, author. I'm not going to check Orange Discord until we're done, which is in 11 minutes. Hello, John. How was school? Question mark, end parentheses, colon. I'm just going to assume that it was a minor error.
I would say, they've actually been doing pretty well so far, so yeah, I'm willing to give them that.
Giving one of his, as he dubs, Arc Charm smiles. His dad reaches up and ruffles his hair, blah blah blah. We had tests today, I did great. It's disappointing that they expect me to still do those, but whatever, you know. I'm not sure that grammar made sense, but I think so. What?
Max, you're the grammar consultant. Consult.
What's wrong? What happened?
You're the grammar consultant.
That's verbal grammar, which has separate rules than written grammar.
What am I looking at here specifically?
The dialogue between John and his dad.
The only grammar I have a problem with is that there's no comma in there between those and but. Because that should still be there. Hey, it's vernacular.
Yeah,
the way people speak does not care about proper grammar.
Yeah, you don't need the proper grammar in your speech. I mean, obviously you need to speak in a manner that other people speaking that language can understand you. So there is some grammar intrinsically involved. But me going, it doesn't matter or whatever, gets my message across, even though it's not the proper formatting as if you would have written it.
Right. I would say, pretty much in spoken English, pretty much the only thing you have to avoid is, like, double negatives.
Well, even then, that's fine, as Max can attest being in the South.
Okay, the South doesn't count. The South are a bunch of degenerates that don't know how to speak.
Ooh, that's some shots fired. By Chicago, no less.
Okay, we have hard C's. That's it. We don't butcher English.
And he completely misses my shots fired pun.
I chose to ignore it. There's a difference. It's like, I'm trying to put this in a way you'll understand. It's like when Trump just ignores people he doesn't like. I chose to just ignore your comment.
Good. Interesting, fascinating. Let's move on then.
Oh boy.
Oh Jesus Christ. Hey, do you want some tea? Yes, I would love some tea. He took in his father's fashion style as he poured a cup.
Okay, hold on a minute. Why are you like just now? Like, see, this is the kind of thing
I am now
talk
sitting
about.
down for some tea. Let me observe my father and what clothes he is wearing.
Well, more specifically, his fashion style. Like, why?
I don't know.
Well, I'm not asking you. I'm asking this idiot of an author.
Like, so the author is clearly trying to go for the more like How to Train Your Dragon. I guess that's the best way to explain it. How to Train Your Dragon style first-person-y narrative, and where especially this line, everyone. So he describes his really weird dressing style, and then he goes, "Everyone, meet John's dad. John's dad, meet everyone."
Yeah,
that's a very reminiscent of like How to Train Your Dragon. And where he's introducing like the main
which
figures
apparently
in
they
the
just
village.
put out another movie for that.
I really want to see it, but at the same time, I don't feel like paying for it, so I'm probably just gonna see it when it comes out.
Here's the thing: I'm just worried that like it's like, guys, you had 2 really solid movies, and then a third.
Okay, from what I'm hearing,
movie.
is the third is pretty good. That's from what I heard. What you really should be concerned about is the Netflix series they have, where it's just like really cringy. Because the writers are different or whatever. But anyway, the author does say thank again. But so this is actual education time. Get your notepad out. So when you're writing the sort of more sarcastic narrative, you do kind of want to separate your sarcasm comments from the general narrative of what's going on. Typically, italics would be a good means of doing that. Underline is rarely ever used. For the love of God, don't use an asterisk. Just don't. Please. The Korean and Japanese, mostly Korean, I see this one. The Koreans use brackets instead of parentheses. Don't do that either. Don't get in the habit of that unless you're Korean and writing Korean. But then I can't really give you advice on how to write a Korean story. So English stories, italics are really your best bet when you're trying to do a more sarcasm inclusion in the narrative, because it separates it from the normal narrative to make it look more like a comment on what's going on than rather what's going on. And it also can be then interpreted as the character's thought process, which is important if you're doing a first-person narrative story, because you do have to differentiate what the character is thinking from what is happening, so people can get a feel for the character's personality. This also works if you just want to italicize a single word. This is actually something that we did in the Dark Souls story that we wrote, where a weaker character was trying to pull on a lever, and we italicized, putting all her strength to be a very sarcastic comment from the narrator, because she's weak. And so you get more of a feel for the narrator's personality, whether it's actually the narrator as a narrator, or the narrator as in the first-person perspective that it's being told from. This is important to differentiate, as it gives the readers a better idea of the character's whole personality as what they say compared to what they think. Think I covered anything?
I think you pretty much got everything there.
Excellent. Hello, Faceless. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. You're
That's my
pretty
DM.
much just in time for it to end.
Yes, actually. So
All good
let's
things
wrap this
must
chapter up.
end.
Wow, we are not even halfway through. Anyway, so the dad's really muscly and awesome looking, and he's got that shaved businessman look, and blah 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 blah. Son,
Yes, the unoriginal hack look.
Pretty good. Our stocks are up, so your mother isn't mad. Did I say your mother isn't mad? Oh no, this is wonderful. I've done it. I want life. What do you mean, Dad? I'm gonna tell you a real man secret. Wow, look at the time. I have to leave now. Son, stop interrupting me. I'm now gonna give you advice on life. Isn't this weird for you to tell me? No, it's a true fact of life. The day we make women happy is the day the world ends. But really, son, remember, keep your women happy, your trigger figure or not, and always use protection.
This seems like a really bad parent. Isn't John like 10?
He's an indeterminate age of very smartness.
Yes, of course.
Still not the thing you should be telling your child.
Yeah, more or less. Blah blah blah. Amber's out with
that's
the
the
boyfriend.
kind of thing you tell your kid when he's like, "All right, son, you're going to college." Even then, you shouldn't. But that's the only time that's even remotely okay.
Okay, so John has a twin sister named Amber who is dating Carden.
Well, she makes poor life choices.
Oh, not dating Carden. Dating Carden's little brother because they're 13 years old. Oh, no, maybe Carden. Yeah. Yeah, Carden's the same age, so yeah, it might still be Carden, but at age 13. Blah, blah, blah. All the Ark siblings are named after gems and flowers. Blah. Opal, Azure, and Marine. Yep. And blah, blah, wellness, blah, blah. Marine loves snow, blah, blah, blah. Azure's gay, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah. His room was super big and smelled really good and smelled fresh, and he was so smart and his IQ is high, and he pinned his A report cards to his wall because he was just so smart. And he's really smart, and he's reading about smart things, and he's memorized the history of hunters and huntresses. Again, it's such an annoying thing. As Mott's refers to them as huntsmen. And then the fandom calls them hunters and huntresses. Like, I understand that's the shortened form, but he calls both sexes huntsmen.
He used it as a gender-neutral term.
Who used what?
Monty, when he was referring to huntsmen, he called them huntsmen regardless of the gender.
As in, he used the gender-neutral. Now, there were people who used both.
Yeah, I think he used huntsman as a catch-all term, but huntress was occasionally thrown around in like one-on-one dialogue.
But when was that said? What season?
Back in season 1.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, and it was just generally thrown around.
I'm pretty sure Ruby, upon first meeting Linda, was "You're a huntress," not "You're a huntsman." It's a little inconsistent.
Which is fair. He is an animator. Blah blah blah, bravery and stupidity. It's a thin line that you don't know until you're dead. No, bravery is running into a field of arrows to save someone. While stupidity is running into a field of arrows to save someone that can't be saved. Well, you don't know they can't be saved unless you have really advanced biometric reading equipment, or you get to that person and realize they can't be saved. So, the line between bravery and stupidity in your example, author, is how many arrows has this person been shot by the time they get to them?
I would say, because bear in mind, the number of arrows a person has been shot by is not a static variable. You know, you know, when Aragorn first got to the clearing, Boromir had like, what, 2 arrows in him? 3?
Yeah. Something like that.
And by the time Aragorn's finished entering the clearing, Boromir's got like 5.
Yeah. I'm all out of time, folks. Glad to have you back. Yeah. Right. See you, C8. Have a fun time in Brazil. Don't get shot. Make sure to shoot first. Be Han Solo.
Preferably get a real laser. It might help deter them.
Get a real laser gun. I'm sure that'll stop people from mugging you.
I don't know. That just might increase the amount of people mugging him to get the laser.
That's fair enough.
Well, yeah, but see, then it's just like a rare drop situation. Like, if I'm really, really lucky, I won't die to the laser, and then I get the laser. And that's just fair.
I don't think we should be reducing our audience to random encounters.
Well, they certainly are random encounters when they get on this podcast. Hey,
Max, it's not reducing, it's elevating.
I don't think that's how that works.
Faceless says, so now we know John's 13 and being told man secrets. Clearly the author just saw the Battle of Bastards when he wrote this. Faceless, you actually missed it earlier. The author waffled on for several paragraphs if it was possible for 2 people to be the exact same. Which, as we know today, is called identical twins. And he waffled on about people being the exact same because of snowflakes, and he saw a snowflake falling and was like, ha, fact, snowflakes are the same. Anyway. So, blah, blah, blah. Bravery,
oh my god, no, we're not even having
bravery,
Sneaky, we're done.
Bravery, heroes.
We are
bravery,
done.
Heroes,
Sneaky.
life. Cinder was gonna go rape someone or see someone. So basically, every other line is she's gonna have him, and she's gonna make him hers. So I'm assuming that Cinder's gonna go burn down John's home. She's gonna give back the lemons that life gave her and burn the Ark's home to the ground with those lemons.
I mean, here's the thing. Burning down somebody's house is a strong statement. Not necessarily one you're looking for if you're trying to start a romantic relationship, but a strong statement nonetheless.
Depends on whose house you're burning.
Their house. I specified their house.
Did it serve any thematic purpose? No, it served absolutely no purpose as far as we can tell at this time.
That being said, it is the first we will make some allowances for we only read the first chapter.
Yeah,
like
we
in
do
terms
only
of
read the first chapter.
establishing themes, but in terms of say answering questions, generally speaking, if you as the author provoke a question from your reader, don't wait 10 chapters to answer that question.
Well, no. To be fair, you can
I
have...
said generally.
Yeah.
There's also a difference between, I suppose I should have been more specific. There's a difference between mechanical questions and lore questions versus foreshadowing questions.
Well, I mean, even then, the foreshadowing questions could be little things that they include early on, and then later on have like an actual answer to them. Like, the main character wishing they had a brother because they were adopted by this family, and blah blah blah. And then later on in the story, it turns out they do have a brother. Like that sort of thing. That's fine. But hey, this is fan fiction, not an original work. So you do have parameters you need to work in to be still recognized as a fan-based work of a fiction. And because of that, those sort of ponderings sort of lose their meaning. But also at the same time, if you're going to try and attract people to read your story as a fan-based work, typically starting off with some crappy-ass, Psych 101 attempt at a philosophical question that's already been answered.
I was going to say, listen,
isn't your best plan.
Normal people will barely read books that have that Psych 101 nonsense at the start, let alone a fan fiction.
Yeah. Let alone a harem fan fiction. Anyway, so blah 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 blah, steak and fries, blah blah, bodies of assassins, blah blah, he's gonna go read stuff and stuff.
I'm sorry, did you say steak and fries?
Yeah. For dinner with steak and steak fries.
Ah.
He trains every night to prepare for assassins that try to kill him. And private tutors and Civilization 30. Get it? Civilization 30 because we're playing Civilization 5 now. Get it? It's the Civilization games in Ruby, except they're the future.
Since when Ruby was the future?
And a few minutes later, he was settling a city right at a choke point between Singapore and Vancouver, because those names have relevance to Ruby characters. And the Greeks denounced him. Oh wow! All names that have zero relevance to Ruby characters. If it's supposed to be a Civilization game, you would have thought that for the purpose of the joke, they would use Ruby characters in cities! Except they didn't because they're a hack.
The problem here is author doesn't know anything else about Ruby, and Wiki wasn't helping, so...
Oh, of course, if we mention Civilization, we also have to mention Warlord Gandhi. Oh, that's such a great joke, author. I'm so glad you told it to us.
I mean, look, Warlord Gandhi was funny when it happened because it happened. The entire reason Warlord Gandhi was funny was because it's an accident.
It's a glitch.
I don't even think you were alive when Civ 3 came out. So get the fuck out of here. When was Civ 3?
Yeah.
Time to search for answers.
Time to make yourself feel old, boyo.
Oh, I'm gonna feel so old when I look at this. 2001! Oh!
Gentlemen, it's the
Okay,
time
you
we can accept
feel it.
our old gens being eroded.
I just took spirit damage.
Are you feeling it yet, Sneaky?
Oh!
I think the
God.
phrase, Sneaky, I think the phrase you're looking for is negative levels.
Wow! That hurt. No, those negative levels, I'd be getting younger. Oh, that hurt.
Alright, suck it up. You're a big boy.
I am. Let's keep
Big
going.
old boy.
Oh, hey, you're older than me, Zara.
Really?
Yeah,
How old are you?
25.
Fuck.
Is it setting in yet?
Is it setting in, old man?
Shut
The
up,
future is
whippersnapper!
now, old man.
Shut up, you whippersnappers! Where's my cane? I need to eat my gravel.
Is that a staple meal in Russia?
For the old men, let's be real, it probably is. Gravel and rusty nails.
Faceless says if it makes us feel better, we haven't prestiged yet.
Okay, remember guys, in Russia, old people eat 3 G's. Green, gravel, and gruel.
Pretty much.
Alright, anyway, so, blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Talking about Civ stuff, blah blah blah. Insert song
no,
here.
not a...
He who brings the night by 2 steps from hell.
Authors, please stop ruining decent songs with your garbage writing.
Oh my god, my house is on fire. Oh my god, we're dying.
Oh, my house is on fire! Hold on, am I dying?
That's why the nerve was walking away. She sabotaged something, and then he once again saw the maid walk in front of him. Short hair, purple, and a bob cut. She clutched her right hand, and there was a sliver of black material. It had the batteries in her hand. She removed the batteries from all the smoke detectors and set fire to the house.
Okay, nah, hold on a minute. She removed all the First of all, that's not how that works. Like, smoke detectors are both battery and electrically operated. Second of all, you expect me to believe that you somehow...
Well, second of all, you expect me to believe that there's batteries in the Rubyverse? Everything is powered by dust. Everything. But, anyway, so Faceless says the old Mexican men get 3 B's: beans, beer, and bitches.
Well, no, they want to believe they'll get that last B, but they don't. All they get is the sandal.
Smoke detectors scream at you when you remove batteries. I know this from experience. Yes, they do. Alright, so, blah blah blah, grabbing the scroll, blah blah blah, escaping the building, oh my god, everything's on fire, it's, hell because people are dying and screaming and more fire, and there's guns going off and more fire and things are exploding and he's running away and more things are exploding. Okay, so basically, just imagine any action scene from Max Payne 3. That's what's happening right now.
Oh, I see.
I heard that snort, man.
No, you didn't. You didn't hear anything.
Blah, blah, blah. We gotta escape. This is a secret passageway. Dad's not gonna make it to the basement. John, if it's between me or you, shut up, Mom. Excuse me, young man. I said shut up, Mom. Listen, you're gonna listen to me because I make sense and I'm smarter than you. If you make it out, you have access to all the money and stuff. I don't. Besides, if Dad's already dead, then you need to have another kid. Because I can't have another kid yet. So don't argue with me.
Yeah, but assuming that you continue to live, that's not going to be a problem.
Fine, but don't swear at me and don't die. I will escape now. Okay, Mom, you escape, and I will save everyone. Blah, 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 and they jogged away. Blah, 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 blah. A few minutes later, they pass through another hallway, and everything's on fire and burning. The pigs get wet. Blah, blah, blah. Croakmore is shining the light, and he grabs the sword. Blah blah, can you please block the doors? Blah blah, he blocked the doors. Blah blah, things are exploding, gunshots, everything's on fire.
That just sounds like a Tuesday night.
And then she stabbed the painting, and behind the painting was the secret entrance that let them get out.
Hold on. Why did you need to stab the painting?
Because reasons and stuff or whatever. Shouts of he's in there. So generic shouts of he's in there and target acquired were shouted by the grunts. Blah blah blah. Mom, I have to stay here to cover up the hole. Tell everyone I'm sorry. The mother cried and hugged him and then ran out. Blah blah blah. He grabbed the shield and sword and was like, "I'm a fighter now." And then an explosion happened and the door caved in.
Wait a minute, he's a fighter. That means he immediately gets several bonus feats. Congratulations.
Guys, you don't understand that his mother ran out without letting him go, so this is his delusion while she's choking him while running.
Yeah, she's clearly choking him out. This is just a kink shame game.
Okay. You took that to several levels that I wish you hadn't there, buddy.
Yes, well,
me or
Sneaky?
Sneaky.
Get on the ground. He's northwestern Atlas. Get on the ground now. Listen here, mister. I'm compensating for a small penis. I am not getting on the ground, and you're not going to shoot me. Get on the ground, or I'm going to shoot you, Mr. Compensation.
Overcompensation.
Listen, people. I can bribe you all and pay you 4 times more. John wasn't confident about his talking, but he was really hoping that he could talk these 4 people out. He was an idiot, and he was well aware that money was a motivator for all this. Blah blah, they looked at each other, they deliberated, make a decision now. Who's to say you won't just use us? We're working for someone dangerous. Yeah, I get that, but in Atlas, you must know that the orcs always keep their word, so now save me, and I'll pay you 4 times the amount of money. Unfortunately, they couldn't answer in time because the door blew up. Blah, blah, blah. How dare servants get in between her and John? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, she wanted John so badly. Blah, blah. She wanted him so much, but she was going to kill him so no one else could have him. Blah, blah. Yandere, 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 yandere.
That's crazy talk.
Yandere, 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 and then something changed everything. Blah, 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 the mercenaries were near him, and then he started stabbing at them. Blah, 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 all hell broke loose, John leapt forward. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone's shooting at him, but none of the bullets would hit him. Blah, 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 blah. Action sequence where he is completely somehow dodging all of the bullets and the fireballs being shot at him to stab all the mercenaries to death. And, blah, blah, blah. Croker-Moores is knocked out of his hand. And then Cinder, melts Croker-Moores in her hand. And then she's like, I'm done being yandere over you. I'm just gonna kill you now. Blah, blah, blah. But he was a super genius and really smart. And, then his dad came in to save him. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry for throwing you out this window, son. What do you mean? And he throws her out the window.
For someone who's as intelligent as he is, that's a really dumb question.
Blah, blah. Blah, oh my god, I'm gonna die. No, I can't die. I will survive. I will endure. I will live. Blah, 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 blah.
He's a Zerg.
I will fight the powers that be. I will gain revenge upon the person that killed my father. I will make my own destiny.
He's a mix between Kratos and Zerg.
Basically.
I was hoping someone would make an Inigo Montoya joke.
No, this piece of garbage does not deserve an Inigo Montoya joke.
Fair enough.
Like, it's a great book. It's a better movie.
Alright, so
Honestly-
final verdict on the story. Honestly, its grammar is fine. Its spelling is fine. It's got a fair pacing to it. The dialogue is very... I can't tell if the author is good at dialogue because he successfully made a shit ton of awkward conversations between John and his family, or if he's just really bad at dialogue and accidentally made good awkward conversations between John and his family. So I give that a let's see what else. The plot overall, that John is basically Tony Stark in the Rubyverse.
No, here's the thing. Tony Stark was a much more normal child.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, like, he's got a shit ton of money, he's super duper smart and knows everything about everything because he was tutored in everything, and so that's why he's able to make tech that, completely surpasses anything currently out. Because you gotta keep in mind, the author did say that the technology in John's arms for this story surpasses any known technology. So John completely invented new sections of technological development as a 12-year-old. Or 13-year-old or whatever.
But does he invent a weapon to surpass Metal Gear?
I believe that he calls that his penis.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
No, that's just a very strange thing.
No. So my final verdict, I give this a 6 out of 10 with a potential to be a 7 or an 8 out of 10 if the story actually holds up.
Yeah,
but personally,
say,
the first chapter did a very bad job.
Join the ranks of stories that we've read that we don't hate and or think is garbage.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's garbage anymore, because I do remember reading John the Tinkerer on this podcast, like, 2 years ago. And it was bad. It was god-awful. It was literally just John, but he's Iron Man. From what I saw in the first chapter, it was uninteresting. I didn't care about the main character. I didn't care for the Philosophy 101 bullshit. I didn't care for the family at all. He accelerated a little bit too quickly past the family interactions part, so I don't think anyone would have had any time to care about the family at all. Like, part of the whole the family dies in the part of the hero's journey is that you get a feel for the family, you get a feel for the character interacting with the family, so you sort of know and sort of empathize with the character when the family dies, and you understand his quest for, vengeance or justice or retribution or etc. But here we had a single conversation with his dad where his dad's like, "Hey, I'm a crappy dresser. Now let me tell you a secret you don't want to hear." And then the mom's like, "We made food." And that's the total sum of interaction with the family of 11 or whatever it was. So one interaction each with a parent that lasted 2 to 3 paragraphs at most. I mean, yes, admittedly in Star Wars and whatnot. Actually, no, in Star Wars is actually a really good example. There was quite a bit of interaction early on in the movies. The parents are telling him that old Ben is weird.
Well,
That the
no, I was
droids
gonna
are
say
useless.
I mean, the first
Like, get
10
jobs.
minutes.
Yeah, like a significant amount of time was actually spent on interactions between them. So when they comes back and they're dead, you kind of understand what the character is feeling, and you kind of care about them.
Well, I was gonna say, and this is a larger problem, not just in fanfiction, but in games. I see this in games specifically all the time. A lot of it comes out from JRPGs, but plenty of Western games are guilty of this. Of we've known X character or X character's family for 5 in-game minutes, and because they want to give us motivation, we start off with everything burning or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, be sad that his brother's dying. Be sad that his mom is dying. I don't give a shit. Like Dragon Age Origins. Oh, so you're part of some noble family? Okay. At least for the human ones.
Yeah.
You're part of some noble family.
Yep.
Your family gets murdered. Be sad. Well, you haven't shown me any kind of love or relationships. You don't even spend 10 minutes on these guys.
Western RPGs suffer from having very little story. No. Let's be clear here. It's the cookie cutter, formulaic garbage that the big companies put out these days that have very little story. For example, Witcher 3, admittedly, yes, they are copying off of the book. Metro, they are copying off the book, but they managed to pack a significant amount of story in both the Metro series and the Witcher series.
Well, no, but Sneaky, here's the thing. Everything they wrote
Skyrim.
is actually their own original stuff. Like,
Is it?
yes, they started with Geralt and company as a base, but everything is set after the books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar for Metro, I believe, right?
Sort of.
Metro pulls much more heavily from the books.
The author did work directly with them on those games, though. Metro Last Light veers quite a bit from the way 2034 goes.
Right.
But that's just because 2034 follows a completely different character, and it's a lot slower paced than the first one.
Another really amazing story. Like this is how you get people invested. Kingdom Come Deliverance. They have you do like a whole quest chain in this village, and then the bad guys show up, and then you're running from the bad guys, and then you get the quest to go back to your village.
Say, for all that game's flaws, which there were quite a few,
they could tell a story.
And they did a really good job, especially because they give you friends, they give you a love interest, they give you parents, they give you act like real parents. Like, your character was out drinking or practicing with swords or whatever you tell your mom it was, and your dad's like, hey, where the fuck were you lazy shit?
Yeah. I mean, not only that, you also have the moment where you go back to the town and you encounter the bandits there, and you feel like you can really, take vengeance on the bandits for looting your family and crap like that. But, you can't. Spoiler alert, you can't. You're supposed to lose in that fight. But the game really gives you a feeling of, yeah, you can do this.
Well, because they're not, like, super armored or anything. Granted, they're all better than you, but,
Yeah, but it's... Well, and yeah, the Skyrim-esque story, Super Potato says it's talking about the Skyrim-esque story, and yeah, I understand that, but it's like, that's the sort of shit I'm talking about. That's the formulaic, cookie-cutter garbage that gets, pumped out. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Skyrim. I put over, 800 hours into Skyrim. So don't get me wrong.
But here's the thing. The thing that's fun in Skyrim, the thing that keeps people playing Skyrim, in addition to shit zillions of mods, is not the main story quest.
It's not
it's
the
the
story.
world around it. It's all the side quests. It's all the little stories that add up to one giant world.
Yeah,
well, like the entirety of the Thieves Guild quest line, which isn't even a marked quest line.
Yeah, exactly.
it's actually one of the best examples of narrative storytelling that I've ever seen. In like the modern game, like
Yeah, in modern, yeah.
just as you go to a place that's broken down, it's a hellhole, etc., and they say, yeah, we might be able to get this place back up and going, and if you just do 6 million little quests, you can.
Yeah. It
I'm
is
pretty sure
certainly...
that's Fable 3. You just described Fable 3.
Yeah, Fable.
I'm sorry, did you say Fable 3?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fable 3... Fable 3 does not do a good job. Like, Fable 3 is by far the worst of all of them.
It really is.
But you can save the nation by being a street performer.
I have to say, probably the funnest thing about Fable 3 was I played a female character. There was so many thirsty kids on Xbox.
Oh, yes.
And all
Yes,
I had
I've
to
heard
do
this
is I basically catfished people on Fable 3 to get access to their several millions. And because once you marry, you have access to each other's banks, so I would just withdraw all their money from the bank.
My favorite part was that was an allowed thing. I was like, I wonder, you want to go to the dev and be like, who hurt you?
But anyway, so yeah, that wraps up our little extended podcast as an apology of mine for missing last week, and probably gonna miss June 4th or whatever. I'm gonna be going down for a wedding or some shit, so that's gonna be 2 weeks.
Where are you going down for a wedding?
New Jersey.
There's a joke in there about going down for a wedding, but I'm too classy for that.
No, you're not. Don't pretend.
Anyway, so I will see all of you this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. Because there is always more, and it always gets worse.